So I just finished playing Super Mario Wonder through 100% fully on this channel. And there's a couple things that I noticed about this game. First, it's a lot of fun, right? This is a very good game if you like 2D platformers. If you don't, you're probably not going to like it. But this game has a lot of new mechanics, new characters, but most importantly, it has a lot of new enemies. And I mean a lot. Over 70 different new enemies in this game. Some of them are really, really super interesting. And that's what I want to do here. I want to rank the top 10 most interesting enemies from Mario Wonder. This is a hard list to make because there's so many different enemies that it's really hard to choose the top 10. So what I just chose them on is based on their originality and kind of just how cool they are and how good they are at being actual enemies. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to count down the top 10 with maybe a couple honorable mentions up in here, just because it's hard to get just 10. There's so many of them. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. But without further ado, let's jump into it. We're going to kick this off with an honorable mention. First off is this guy. The so much fun, very iconic enemy to this game. This is called a trotting piranha plant, or a trotting piranha plant. They're variants of piranha plants, obviously, who just basically run around dancing. They're very cute, they're very fun, and they're extremely enjoyable. I like these guys. I have them ranked here as an honorable mention only because they're not the best actual enemies, if you will. They're more novelty, they're more cute and adorable. I know they can walk around on ceilings and they can sometimes come out of pipes and stuff, but for the most part, they're, for me, a novelty, a lot of fun, but not necessarily the most interesting enemy. But I do love them. They are cool. And when you see these things running around here singing, you know what game you're looking at. You know you're looking at Mario Wonder. They actually kind of remind me of the stalking piranha plants that you can find in Mario U. They're a lot like that, except for those ones don't dance. They just kind of walk around being piranha plants. These guys jam. They bang out. In at number 10, we have these guys. These are skedaddlers. They're little squirrel-looking guys that really run around like maniacs. They're fast. I mean, they're really fast. They're some of the only characters that I've seen that can run as fast as Mario in a game. The problem is once they run into something, they run into it. They're not going to jump over it. They're not going to go through it. They're going to run into a wall, and they're going to stay there. But they also shoot these nuts at you, and they fire them off pretty rapidly, actually. They can get in your way. They can definitely cause you some damage. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Birdo from old school Mario 2. This feels just like a Birdo reskin that runs really fast, but the mechanics that it uses for throwing these nuts are basically, as far as I can tell, almost the exact same thing that Birdo uses in Mario 2. These guys are not the most threatening enemies, but I will tell you, I've been hit by one of these nuts more than a couple times, and it is frustrating. The nuts that they throw don't just hurt you, though. You can also use them to break open peanut boxes. You can break open question mark blocks. If it hits it, it will break it. Skedaddlers stand in place until you get close enough to them. Once you get close enough to them, though, they bolt and get the heck out of there. They will run away from you at full speed. If you have the elephant suit, you can actually hit this guy's nuts or seeds, whatever they're called, I'm not sure. But you can hit him with your trunk to spit these faster and darker projectiles. If you hit 5 of these in a row, coins are going to fall down. And just like most things, Yoshi can gobble up these seeds and fire it right back at these guys, just like Yoshi does. That's how he rolls with most things, though. At number 9, we have these big fish-shaped enemies. I don't know what they really are, but they're kind of shaped like fish, but they also look like a balloon. Either way, these big guys are called blomps. Obviously a combination of a balloon and a blimp because it's huge and, I don't know, they're bouncy. I think the first map that we see them in is Blomps of the Desert Skies, and they really just float through the air in one direction. They don't bite, they don't fire anything at you, they don't hurt. They kind of just fly and allow you to jump off of them, but they'll also push you out of the way. So if you're standing in front of a blomp, don't get too comfortable there because they will just knock you right out of there. But really, they're good for jumping off of platforming. You can use them to get to higher places. You can use them to get across bigger jumps. They're very useful in that way. They're a very versatile enemy that allows you to Jump off of them just enough, because every time you jump on a blomp, it gets smaller. You can just keep bouncing off of these blomps, go as high as they let you. As far as the blomps go, they'll let you go. I've seen them in a few different colors, plus I've also seen them in the Wonder Flower, where they actually get very big and very exciting. The reason why they're on this list here is because if you're in a level that has blomps in it and you're trying to get somewhere, like in one of the special worlds, for example, these guys will make your life miserable. They will push you off of the edge every single time. They do not care. So while they're kind of just big and in the way, they're good for jumping on, and they could be a very, very annoying enemy because you only get so many jumps on them, and if you're standing in their way, they don't care. They'll mow you down. Last reason they're here is because it's just fun to say blomp. And next up, we have whatever these are. At number 8, we have Out My Ways. So appropriately named is obviously a shortening of the phrase out of my way. These guys, I'm not really sure what they are. They're kind of Goomba-y looking with maybe cat ears and ski goggles and these big boots. Not really sure what they are, but the important thing is these big boots, because they will kick everything and anything at you. Ice blocks, they don't care. Koopa shells, they don't care. You walk close enough to them, they'll kick you. They're relentless, and there's been a few levels in this game where they've actually been a real challenge because they're just kicking stuff everywhere. There's like 3 or 4 of them on screen, and everyone's kicking an ice block at you, or a Koopa shell, whatever they are. They're definitely a fun enemy, definitely adds another layer of challenge to this game, but they can be defeated really easily too. You can just jump on them. You could hit them with a fireball, bubble them, elephant trunk, it doesn't matter. They're one-shot takedowns no matter how you do it. It's just getting to them that's the hard part. Sometimes their relentless kicking of ice blocks is very, very challenging. Coming in at number 7, we have these guys, Mumsies, which is a really cool name for it if you think about it. Obviously, they're just mummies, but it wouldn't be Mario if they weren't doing something cool with the name. So these guys are not that harmful because they're not going to attack you. The problem is they're difficult to take down. Best way to do it is to grab the pull tab in back of them and unload on them. Just rip it down and you'll actually see them empty up, and they're kind of hollow on the inside. They're hard to get at unless you're using that back tab. So you can use a bubble attack on them, which just pushes them around. A fire will actually take them down, but you need several shots of that. But you can jump on his head until you're blue in the face and you're not going to get rid of him. You got to... Best way to do it is with the pull tab or completely avoid them altogether. I mean, let's be honest, if we don't need to engage with some of these enemies, we're not going to. But jumping on this guy's head is going to waste your time all day long. Sometimes you'll be jumping out of nowhere and there'll be this mumsy in the cloud that's like 400 feet tall that you couldn't have expected. Things like that happen. It's a Mario game. It's how they roll. These guys are so interesting to me because it's such a new concept. And it's a new way to take down an enemy. I know there's been other enemies where they have a pull tab in the back and you have to get rid of them. I just think it's cool the way they unravel. I think it's cool the way they look. And I think it's smart on Nintendo's part the way they made it a little bit harder to take down. I mean, firing one fireball at it would, take down a lot of enemies. Not this guy. Jumping on the head would take down a lot of enemies. Not the Mumsy. Mumsies came to play. They're here. Hitting the number 6 spot hard, we have these Babooms. And what do you say about them except for they're most perfectly named? Babooms. They are a firework that you can stomp on and shoot into the air to get rid of enemies above you. Or, if you want, you could pick it up, throw it in the air, and get rid of enemies really high. You could shoot it with a fireball and detonate it like a bomb. Whatever there's not to like about these guys, I don't know. This is probably one of my favorite things. It should actually be higher on this list because it makes the game more enjoyable. And that's what a good, interesting enemy, in my mind, should do for a Mario game. It should make the game more enjoyable. And that is exactly what this is. Who doesn't want to throw fireworks in the air? I know I do. Every time I get to pick up one of these guys, I love it. You can get enemies, you can break boxes, you can find secrets. Ba-boom. That's what this is. I love it. Slam dunk. Halfway through, at number 5, we have Hoppos. These are harmless, giant, purple, hippo-looking things with kind of a flower on their back. And they're absolutely 100% not threatening. What's interesting about them, though, is you can use them to get to places where you probably couldn't without them, no matter what badge you have. You can use them to mow down enemies. And they're more of an asset than they are a liability. You really don't have to worry about getting hurt by a Hoppo. Anytime a Hoppo is in a level, they're usually there to be advantageous to you. Whether you're jumping on them, whether you're using them to knock other things down. Just be careful when you're bouncing into a Hoppo because they could bounce you right off the map. And they can bounce you places you don't want to go. They will absolutely outbounce you, and they will outbounce even an elephant trunk. What's great about them is they make this game more fun. There's no way you can tell me that looking at these Hoppos isn't awesome, that they don't look cool. When I first saw the trailer for this game, the Hoppo was the first thing I noticed, and I was like, okay, I gotta bounce on these things. They do not disappoint. Hoppos are awesome. Charging in at number 4, we have bulrushes. They're a weird cross between a bison and maybe a triceratops, if you ask me. I'm not quite sure what they're supposed to be, but they are wearing a tracksuit, and they will ram anything that gets in their way. They start off looking harmless enough by standing still, but if you get close to them, or you jump on them, or you attack them, they will do exactly what they say, and they will bull rush you. They will just run directly at you until they hit something. The good news is we can use them to break boxes, we can use them to clear paths for us, we can use them to get through hard levels. We can even ride these guys. There are plenty of times in this game where you actually need to ride a bull rush. They can even help you get through certain parts of levels, like through wonder effects, but it can be very, very challenging to ride on them, stay on them, and make sure that they crush through the things that they're supposed to crush through. This, to me, was a very interesting enemy. It kind of reminds me of almost like a charge and chuck, if you will, even though you can't really ride on a charge and chuck, but it's something that stands still until it sees you, and then it just bull rushes you. They're appropriately named, they're very cool looking, and they're a lot of fun. Bull rush. Taking the number 3 spot is a Nosher. And what do you say about these guys except for just look at them? They're a chomping terror. These enemies will eat anything that gets in their path. Well, almost anything. They won't eat each other, but they will eat coins. They will eat purple coins. They will eat question mark blocks. They will eat enemies, Goombas, anything that you can imagine, they will eat. A lot of times you have to be faster than them just so you can get something that you need, like a wonder flower or a purple coin. Otherwise, they will eat it and you have to replay the entire course. The red ones can be defeated pretty easily by almost anything. However, these black ones are insane. They will eat everything in the way. You can't defeat them. The best you can hope to do is stun them with a power block. Noshers are absolutely relentless, and they definitely add to this game an aspect of urgency wherever they're around. I mean, look at the horde of Noshers that are chasing you. You're telling me that that's not going to speed you up and make you move faster? Noshers are a fun addition to this game. I like their mechanics, I like what they do, and I like that they're not just an easy takedown. It makes the game more challenging and more fun. At number 2, we have a Copycat, and their name says it all. They hop, and they copy you. So instead of a copycat, we have a Copycat. They will jump when you jump. Some go vertical, some go horizontal. They just mirror your moves as a player. They can jump through things, open up blocks for us, they can clear paths for us. And in the Wonder Flowers, we have these things called big Copycats, and they will really crush through anything that gets in their way. They go fast and they go furious. When you can become these Copycats is probably when they're at their most fun, when you're actually playing as the Copycat. These are interesting enemies because they mimic what the player does. They add a completely different layer to this game where you're playing as this creature, and you can really feel the Copycat's mechanics when you're playing as it. It feels really nice, really smooth. One of my favorite Wonder Seeds is when we are being the Copycat. These guys are okay. And finally, at the number 1 spot, we have Maw-Maws. They almost look like they're inspired by like giant salamanders. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be, but to me, that's what they look like, a big salamander. But they are not your average salamander. They're basically these little 2-legged creatures with a giant gaping mouth that's getting ready to gobble you up. Really, it seems like they like to eat Goombas. That's their thing. They're like vacuum cleaners with a serious attitude problem that will really get anything that crosses their path. They can't eat you as a player, but if you do hit them, they will definitely damage you. If you're transformed into a Goomba via the Wonder Effect, they will definitely chase you down and eat you and make you sorry that you ever saw a Maw-Maw. I just like them so much because they're so different looking, and their behavior is different than anything you really could ever see. They don't just mindlessly chase you down. They'll give it their all. They sprint at you at full speed, looking like they're absolutely starving and in frenzied hunger. But after they chase you for a bit, they need a break. They can only run so far for so long. Then they take a break, and you can actually see them panting with exhaustion, with their eyes out, being exhausted. They can't catch you. I think they're awesome. I think it brings a sense of comedy to the game. It's It's adorable is what it really is, and I really do like it. They're still a threat though, so some of them don't move at all, preferring just to wait for you to get a little too close before they snap their jaws shut. And if you want to take them down with a fireball, or if you want to take them down with a Koopa shell, you're gonna think twice about that one, because they can spit the projectiles right back at you if you're facing them. They're certainly not undefeatable. They're vulnerable to a jump and a ground pound. You can also get them with the drill attack and fireball it. They're not impossible to get rid of, but they are a big challenge. The Maw-Maws are the perfect example of what makes Super Mario Bros. Wonder so exciting. It takes the whole wonder aspect of it and brings it right in front of you to life. Now, a lot of the enemies in the game are like this, but the Maw-Maws to me are the perfect #1 spot because they're challenging, they're unpredictable, and they're just the right amount of quirky before you have to say, all right, you're weird, get out of here. Facing off against them is a test of your skills, and that's why they've earned the top spot on this list of the most interesting enemies in the game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're still watching and you've made it to the end, I want you to know that I appreciate you. Thank you for watching.